today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how we can send data from our frontend to the backend using a form and then store that data into our database. So let's get started. So in the previous tutorial, I just showed you how to install React in the client side folder, and then I showed you how to use Axios to then communicate with our backend and how to get that URL that we need in order to communicate with the backend. And using that URL, we were doing a GET request, and then we were getting the data from our backend, and then using a .then method to get the response, getting the data from that response, and then just setting that using our useState. And then I'm just taking the posts and I'm putting them here, okay? And that's what you're seeing here. Now what we're going to cover in this tutorial is how to send data to the backend now, okay? Because we're going to be submitting data to the backend and then using that data to create one of our posts. To show you how to add data, I've added this button. This is only opening a model, and when the model opens, and to show you the code for this, I've added a component called add form. In this, I've only added a form, okay? And on submit, it's going to trigger this function that's going to prevent the form from submitting, because we want to actually use Axios to submit data to the backend. And this is just to get the input value for the title, okay? Here. So this is how that's working. So I'll get to the edit form later, but for now, to add data into our MongoDB compass, okay, I'm going to open it up. In the meantime, I'm going to copy this, okay, because to add something on submit, I'm going to be triggering this function, and in this, I'm going to make this sync, okay. I'm going to import Axios, and I'm just going to be console logging the data that we get, and we're going to make this a post request. Also, we need not the posts URL now, okay? We need to go into our backend and we need to see, oh, I've already opened this here, okay? So in our routes, if you look at this, we have the /API/post/create route. And if you want to know how to do any of this, like the controller models and everything, there's a MERN stack playlist. Go and watch that. I'm not going to go over all of this again, okay? So we're going to go to this route to do this, okay? And this is getting our post create controller that is in this, okay? So I'm just going to copy this, and this part right here, I'm going to paste this in. So we're going to our full URL, that is this, to create something. But if you look at this, right, we can't just say create without sending some kind of data, right? Because we need to send data to the backend, like the title in this example, so that it knows that I need to put this title into the database. So to do that, I'm going to send data to the backend. So I'm going to add title, and I'm going to make this title. Okay, and what this is doing, it's getting this state and it's putting it here. But since both of these are named the same thing, I can just do this, which is a shorter way of doing it. So I'm just going to save this. Okay, and right now when I connect demo posts, and as you can see, let me just show you this. We have 5 right here. Okay, we have 5 posts. Okay, now it looks like we need to send in a ID as well. Let me just check if that's required or not, so that we don't have any problem. Just check if this is not required. Okay, so this isn't required, so I'm not gonna send in one of these category IDs. Okay, so everything should work. So if I do add and I press submit, and since I'm console logging this, I just want to see. Right now it's empty, so when I submit this, yeah, it's returning data submitted, which means the data in this should update when I refresh. As you can see, romance post 1 is added into this. Okay, and this is saying no field because we did not add in the category ID, which I don't see the point in adding this because this is just an example project. Okay, but for now we are able to submit data into our database, which is the title. Okay, so I can send data into my database using this. Okay, and this is working because of how we have set up our controllers and our model. Okay, just want to make that clear before you get confused on how this is all working. Again, MERN stack playlist, go and watch that. Everything is inside of it. So we are able to send data to the database. Now, how do we show this data on our front end? Because this is in a separate component, right? Well, what you can do, well, it depends actually on how you've made it. Like, for example, here I'm getting a custom message which basically just says the data submitted, right? So you can go about this in different ways. One is, let me just open up my controller for this. Oh, I open up the models. Yeah, this is the post create controller, right? This is the controller that is getting the request body. Okay, request.body, and then I'm using my post model, which I am exporting right here. Okay, and then I'm using the .create, which is a method in Mongoose, and then I'm just, because this is a promise, I'm just using the dot then to send a response, and since it's just plain text, I'm sending this data submitted. But the way you can do this is, if you want, you can send a JSON response, okay, which would be JSON, and then you could make this into message. Okay, and since this returns the post that we ended up submitting, or the data that we ended up submitting, I'm just going to show you all of this first. Data, I think that's fine, and then do data. Actually, I'm going to say post data just to make things clear. So you can send a JSON response, and if I show you this again, I have saved everything. So if I submit this, you will see that the post that I submitted, all of that data is being fetched. Okay, so I could just, in my add form, I could get the props, and I will name, let's say this prop is named set posts. So I'm gonna take both of these, and in my form I will just add these. And save this. And in this, what I'm going to do is add this. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here is that I'm getting the data, right? So what I can do now is this. You know what, I don't need this because I just remembered you get the previous data. So now I have this prop, and now our state remembers the previous state inside of it, right? So just do a dot prev state, and then you can do data. Okay, so what this is going to do is just add the new data in and spread the previous state data that we already have. Okay, just check one more thing. Let me just check, is this an array? Yeah, it was an array. Sorry, that's my bad. This is how you do it. Okay, just save this here. Are getting an error. This code should work actually. Just add and see. Looks like we have a small problem. Let me just fix that and come right back. Okay, so everything was actually correct. The thing is that I was thinking like we were just sending this, and we were actually sending the whole JSON data, okay, with a message. That's why that form had a problem, because we were just putting this in, which meant putting the whole JSON in, but I needed to specifically get this. So I'm just getting that now. Okay, so let's go over that again. Okay, so now if I put in one, okay, and you can see the data is being submitted because we're getting all of this, but I want to specifically get the post data. Okay, so that's what I'm getting. As you can see, it's romance post 1, so that's what we're getting here. Okay, so I'm basically just getting this and updating the state. So that's one way of doing this. And the other way of doing this is basically you have, like, you don't even need this, but you do need this, right? So actually you can just actually the way we were doing this before was also correct. I just want to clear that up as well. For some reason my VS Code is just not getting this. That's why you're seeing this error. This is not an actual problem, by the way. Okay. So instead of doing this, right? So we are getting this get posts. So this is the other way. So let's say we have this. Okay. So let's say we want to send this function that does this Axios get request for us. Okay. So we're just sending that as a prop, and then we can just here, after that data has been submitted, we can just add another, since we just don't need to do anything with this, right? So we can just comment this out and just add that here. And that should also do it. Okay. So let me just save this. Okay. So let's just copy all of this. Let's refresh this so that we have fresh form. Okay. So I'm gonna make this 2 now. Okay. So this is what we have right now. After I submit this, as you can see, this is added. So these are the 2 ways you can add data into your database from the front end, and then we can just update our state that will show all of our posts. Okay. So I hope you like this tutorial. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.